So turning on your webcam would be very helpful. So let's just begin. Also, before I forget, I have to cancel. This is something that I totally missed, but I have a speaking engagement in Vancouver next Thursday. So I won't be here. I won't be here. So next Thursday we are out of commission. So I did have to cancel the session, which I believe was on landing pages. I'll make that up to y'all in March. But again, next Thursday, I'm out. So my apologies. I totally have it circled. Um, Go to Canada, and I just completely missed that one. So my apologies. Alrighty, so let's look at the metrics. I'm going to give you the ones that we're going to go into right now. We're going to go into our YouTube studio and go straight into the meat and potatoes of it. This is one that you hear in just about every session that we do, which is retention rate of at least 70% in the first 30 seconds. This is something that we will continue to go back to time and time again. It's actually one of our five pillars that we focus on with our YouTube strategy. So, as a quick little recap, so we're on the same page, is we address topics. So what are we going to record on? Two, the thumbnail. What does our thumbnail need to look like? Three, title. What does our title need to be? Is it a SEO based title so people can find us on search, which you'll see that today? Or is it more of a curiosity based title, which is going to push the suggested and browse feature or views to our audience or our videos? I'm sorry. And the fourth is the first 30 seconds, which again is the 30-second retention rate. We are looking for the first 30 seconds to be as strong as possible to get people and to keep people on our video. And the fifth component is the transformation. What are we saying in the video that's going to transform somebody from a somebody that just views rather than actually taking action? So in other words, taking a viewer into a client relationship. So um, we're going to look at that today. We're also going to look at suggested video traffic. So we're going to go to the videos that are being suggested or pushing our content on their channel. So it'll give you some insight on the channels that are in your space, but more than that, it's going to give you more of an insight on the videos that we should be creating next. It's a really good indicator on what video to focus on next. Views by content. This is also a great place to go to get video ideas. You're going to see when videos were trending. You're going to see when videos were not trending, and it'll give you an idea of what videos to remake if necessary. So a question last week came up of, when do we remake like the pros and cons videos if we have that type of content or content that we've covered in the past? When should we be doing that? And the suggestion then is the same as the suggestion now is when it's lost momentum, when it's lost the traction, it doesn't have acceleration at this point. And you're going to see that visually on the YouTube studio. And then we're going to go back into the retention graph once again. So we're probably going to tackle these two together since we're going to be in the same screen to give you an idea of what we need to be focusing on with our retention graph because it tells us a lot. It tells us either we didn't explain something in our content all that well. It tells us, well, there's something in our content that is working extremely well, but it's also an indicator on what we should probably stop doing. So it gives us a good amount of feedback just from a simple graph. All right, so let's get into it. All right, we're gonna go into this channel's analytics. So this is our channel. We're gonna go over to the analytics section. So at this point, everybody should be, know where to go to their YouTube studio. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to our content. No, we're not. We're gonna go over to our content. Where am I? Ah, we're going to be in our analytics and scroll down. What we're going to focus on right now is what's getting acceleration first. So what's getting acceleration right now? So as an example, this particular video has been doing well as of late in the last 28 hours. This one has some acceleration. So we're going to use that as our starting point to gather intel, gather data on what we need to be focusing on. So this video performed well. In fact, um, I'm gonna guess this probably is if it's not doing 30, it's probably doing 40 percent of the current traffic in the last 28 28 days, if I had to guess. We'll look at this analytically to see if I'm even more anywhere close to being correct. But from the video itself, I know for a fact that this video is getting pushed. Why? Well, because it's the browse and suggested um, video views are coming from traffic sources that have nothing to do with somebody typing in, what do I do after closing? This is the video that's getting suggested, and you're going to see where it's getting suggested from here shortly. Um, from other videos that talk either about getting to the closing space or already covered the closing topic. But I would guess that because of the growth of this particular video, if you go to the top right and go to since uploaded, it gives you the acceleration. You see that it was on the channel for what, six months before it hit something big. I mean, it started off pretty big, but then it absolutely caught fire and it's still carrying a good amount of views. So when you're looking at your own content to see what's actually working right now, the exact same process is going to apply. Going to your video, in this particular case, for you, it might be a pros and cons. For you, it might be the angry realtor. For you, it might be the ABC. And then you can do a video that leads up to the point that you just covered, or it covers the point after the fact. So as an example with this one, this is covering the topic, what to do after you close on your home. So what I can do in this particular case is I can make a video now that talks about what to do before you close on your next home, right? So this is a way to build up to this video so you can feed your own video with some additional views, but you could also make a video after the fact that talks about it's a continuation of a video that you just made. It just depends on what you just talked about. But I'm losing the plot here. Let's look at the first 30 seconds. So when you go, once again, go to your YouTube studio, go right now, we're just going to go to the analytics and see which one has momentum. We could go to the content that we've made in the past, go to the one that's gotten the most amount of views and go there. In fact, we'll just stay here just for the sake of it. So we'll click here, go into the analytics. Right now, it has lost acceleration, as you can see. In the past, it was getting a good amount of views, but now it's basically dead. Now, there's different strategies that we can deploy to make to either revive this and or take some of the traffic that was once benefiting us. So in this particular case, going back to the previous question that was asked last week, when do we remake a video? Now. Now would be the time to remake this Denton video because it has zero acceleration. I'm not taking any viewership from this video because there's none, right? But now there's, rather than going through and replacing the entire knee, what we can do is we can put some steroids into it. How? Well, put a different thumbnail, put a different title, put a different description. That is your medicine, if you will, before we go into the total knee replacement. Does that make sense? Any feedback on this? Because this is something that's happening across all of our channels. There's videos that perform incredibly well at some point, and then at some point they stop getting that acceleration.
Could you just do the 2026 trick?
100%. 100%.
Throw it
So,
on your thumbnail and throw it in the title?
I wouldn't necessarily go into the just putting in in fact, on titles, on thumbnails, we actually don't even put the year.
Okay.
So we don't age it that quickly. We'll put it in the title. We'll put it absolutely in the title, but we don't put years in in fact, we don't even put months in the thumbnails because that'll age it too quickly. So on the titles, that's a different story because that can easily be swapped out and deleted. In fact, we just recently went through anything that is not 2026. We went back through all the channels that we manage and just deleted the year.
So are you telling us to re-upload any videos that were good like this, or just map it, type it in, change title, thumbnail, and description?
Re-optimize it. Re-optimize it. So yeah, you don't need a re-upload. You can remake it and you should be remaking it. Now they have the script here. But yeah, you different thumbnail, different title would give you at least a good shot at life.
Would you apply like the 80/20, basically to change 20% of it just to make it fresh before reloading it back up?
Um, when you say reloading and backup, load the video again?
Yeah, I mean the other option is to pull it down or take it from your files and do some 20% polish on it and then kick it back up. I don't know if that works because at some point the YouTube algorithm's going to know it's the same video if you just download it and upload it again. But there's got to be some metric where you've changed enough of it that it completes as, it treats it as a completely new video.
Yeah. I mean, mechanically that could work, but really at the end of the day, chances are many of these videos that have lost momentum, this is probably a 4-year-old video. I don't know how long it was. Um, yeah, 4-year-old. At this point, I know a lot more than I did 4 years ago. And things have changed since the last 4 years ago. So rather than try to salvage something that's pretty much, on its last legs, so yeah, we can refurbish it. No issue with refurbishing um, items and try to give them a second life. But if we remake it with the new things that we know, the new things that have happened in the area, you're gonna make a much better video, and you get the benefit of the I guarantee you right now, and if I had the time, I'd probably need to do it. Any video that I make about Denton is gonna pop off on this channel, even though this channel has been pretty dormant because I'm not actively creating content for this channel right now. The other channels that I'm working on take my priority. But I guess long way of saying, the refurbishing, you could try it. I don't really think it would produce that much value as much as actually just making a new video from scratch.
Okay. So the better one would be to say 4 year you could just do a time lapse effectively. This is what it was 4 years ago. Here it is today. That might be
Yeah.
an interesting one to
Yeah.
do too.
Like 4 years ago, I made this video about Denton, and guess what? So much has changed. So we need to talk about it. That would be
Yeah.
my intro.
Yeah, then and now. I think that would be
Exactly.
a good.
Exactly. For the 30 seconds retention, the graph that we're alluding to, and I know I keep going around it, so I'll just finish the point here. What we're looking for is 70% and above. So this is going to help you. And even though, again, this is actually the most watched video on this channel, it didn't hit the goal of what we're striving for, but it wasn't too far off. Your most watched video very rarely will be less than 50% in the first 30 seconds. In fact, it's not going to happen. So the way that you audit this, the way that it's not just about getting information, you need practical information. The practical information on how you apply this benchmark as you're doing your as you're doing your research is in two ways. Number one is find out what has worked. In this particular case, I would argue going to the most watched videos and seeing what has actually worked would be valuable. So going to Denton and then seeing how we did with, well, it's actually the most recent video here that we've just been talking about. 72% in the first 30 seconds. Rockwall, that was low. 60%. So the exercise is watching the first 30 seconds in the most watched videos and seeing what was different. Because that had a lot to do with it. Because if you start out with more people in your video, here you see that it's a drastic decline, and then yeah, you start losing people. There's a huge dip there. We would need to analyze what happened there, but it's a gradual decline. So if you can keep 70% or above, imagine the line going. Look at the mouse, not necessarily where it's going right now, but let me see if I can do that. Yeah. So where the mouse is, you end up with a much higher retention rate if you can keep somebody on longer in the first 30 seconds. So that would be the first exercise, going to the most watched videos and analyzing what did the first 30 seconds look like. The second component is going to your most recent videos and seeing where you are right now. That's a better indication of the type of content that you're creating. You're going to see what type of, see, I'm just using this as a library now. Let's see. This video, new constructions. Um, 70%. So it's relatively okay. We don't have such a drastic drop off. So going to the most recent videos that you've produced is going to be a better indicator of the type of content that you're producing right now. It's going to give you an idea, should I be making better hooks? Like this looks like it fell off the cliff, but after I shook out the individuals that weren't interested in this, um, it was a gradual decline. It wasn't something off a cliff or anything like that. Let's see another graph real quick. So here, and I did something disastrous here that I had another it fell off it fell off the prefaces. If it fell off a cliff there. So I would need to watch this video and see why was there such a drastic decline even after the initial dip. So that would be an exercise that I would need to go through. Something else that I would need to go through is what brought them back. Without even looking, I'm gonna guess there was some visual that brought them back here, which means that basically they sped forward and then they got here. So what was it that started getting this to rise? And it was in preparation for a map, I guess. Right. So these indicators will let you know once again, if you did a bad job of explaining something, you'll see this little hump. You'll see the people are going back or fast forwarding to the point that you were making. If you see nothing there, chances are that somebody was coming back again to your video because they didn't understand what happened. So if you're catching that, what you're probably missing is a lower third or a visual to enhance the point that you're making. So anytime you're talking about percentages, amounts, figures, stats, we need to put them on the screen. So some of you that are on creator agents, you'll notice that whenever you're referencing a rise of in population of year over year, we're either putting the text on the screen or we're going to find a source online that echoes what you're saying so as to substantiate and increase the the retention here. So here we see a little uptick. So this I'm doing a review, I guess, in builders right there. So you saw a lot of people coming back to this point, trying to understand, I guess, whatever I was talking about there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm also looking at my videos. Interesting discoveries there. I have a lot of peaks at certain levels, so I have to go exactly that timestamp and see why the peaks are happening around that. So that'll be interesting to
Do it
gaze
right now,
on.
Rashawn. What are you seeing?
Oh, on the peak?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay.
If you play it like you don't have to play with audio, but do you see something on it should be
Uh,
very evident.
yeah, it's talking about matters that needs to be escalated to lawyers is what I'm saying in that area. So everybody's like, okay, they're watching home buying process. It's a 25-minute long video and retention is pretty good. 36% has watched the entire thing. And
Nice.
there are like peaks and valleys like that. And those are really around points where I'm making them listen carefully. These are the things you want to bring it to your lawyer, for example, that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, a little strategy once you start picking those up is now that you have their full attention, now would be a good time for a call to action, right? So one of the questions that comes up here is about calls to action. What calls to action should they be and when should they be? We hear the and I do subscribe to this. I'm not gonna say that I don't, but based off of the average view duration of your channel altogether, the common recommendation is to put your call to action right before that link. So, as an example, if the average view duration for your entire channel is, let's say, four 4 minutes and 30 seconds, as an example. So, when you go to your stats, you go to your analytics, it's going to give you the average view duration. So, you get right now I think most of us have this dashboard as it sits because everyone has a different layout depending on when YouTube is exploring things with you and also depending on the size of your channel. Larger channels have a bit more data and a few graphs that we don't. But when you go in here, we're gonna go with the audience. Where is my, we're going to go to content, we're going to go to views, and then the average view duration. So whenever we're editing videos, again, going back to creator agents, although I don't like referencing it all that much, when we look at this, we see what the average view duration is. And typically when there's a hanging call, a call to action, meaning that that call to action is not necessarily placed by the creator, we make it a point to add that call to action right before the average view duration. Because in theory, at that point, the average is still there. The average of your viewers, the peak of your viewership is still there. That's why we add the call to action there. But taking it back to the point that I was originally making, if you're seeing peaks, like right here, if you know that there's peaks and you identify what it looks like anytime I talk about a figure or a stat, now would be a good time for me to do my call to action. Now, obviously, this is after the fact. This is just you need to be in tune with yourself. So going back to the Rashawn example, you know now that you were giving some advice on, when you should reach out to your attorney. Well, in the future, you know that whenever you're giving key advice similar to that, you can add your call to action, right? So in this particular case, again, I know this is retroactive, so it's going to be tough um, to get in tune with your content in this way. But when you do identify that on your future video and you make similar content or a similar comment, you give yourself permission to go ahead and do your call to action at that point. So here, when you're talking about something as important as reaching out to your attorney, so you're going to share, the reasons or when you should be reaching out to your attorneys, it would be a natural call to action to follow it up with, and feel free to reach out if you want some help in finding the right attorney for your case. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm doing the neighborhood videos. Couple of them have come out, couple are on the pipeline. Those would be the ones I'll be uh, carefully watching. For those that I have not brought it forward yet, because two cities that I serve, we have 43 different neighborhoods. And so if I see those peaks, I'm going to have to watch them and ensure uh, I kind of follow that on my newer script or the newer neighborhood. That's what I say the CTAs or some valuable information.
100%. 100%. Now, looking at this graph here, you'll see there's a dip and then there's a lot of rewatching here. A lot of people came back to this because they had a lot of information that they needed to process, right? So they needed to process, what does it look like when it's south facing? What does it look like when it's north facing? Right. So had we just said, and make sure that the home is facing to the south, or I don't know what I said here. And then if it's facing to the north, make sure that blah blah blah. This would not have existed. The average view duration would have been lower. All right, we can move on, but any questions on that? This is essentially these 2 points, so the retention graph that was important that we covered. Any feedback on this? And YouTube itself gives you the above average and the below average, so it does a good amount of your homework already. So going back and watching these videos and the ones that didn't perform as well is also very, very informative. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the content and we're going to go to, yeah, this is the right. Well, no, let's go with views. Oh, we'll need to filter that out in the back end. Okay. How viewers found you. This is what I wanted to discuss about the suggested people suggesting your video. Now, this channel, for context, is a heavy search channel. That was by design. Why? Well, because I went to 90 plus cities in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex and I just hit all of them. So I was looking for people that were just essentially looking for any city in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex to use this as landmines that eventually brought people home. Now, if you're doing a more suggested or browse type of top channel that's not so heavy SEO and search, your suggested and your browse is going to be your highest viewed traffic source. So what I want to talk about more is about suggested. I want to talk about who is suggesting your content. So to see who's suggesting your content, better yet, what videos are suggesting your content, because you're going to find some creators that have no that you're not beefing with, that there's no competitive, there's not a competition of yours. They're going to make a video about your area. Typically, it's going to be the lifestyle channels, like bloggers or yeah, lifestyle people that are dietitians, people that are doing makeup. Like, I moved to Dallas, I moved to blah blah blah. This is how it's going. You'll typically see some of those videos compete against yours. So when you go to see more and then go to suggested, you're going to see the videos that are suggesting your content. So here, let me go back because I want to make sure that everybody's in the same on the same wavelength. Go to your YouTube studio, go to your content. I'm sorry, go to your analytics. Now go to your content. Scroll down how viewers found you. Go to see more. And then you'll see the search. That's another thing for another day. What's interesting to us today is what other videos suggested us. Now, suggested traffic for, I'll talk about traffic for a very brief second just to set this up. Search is basically what somebody types into Google, types into YouTube, boom, SEO. That's the play there. It's pretty straightforward. Browse is when somebody logs into the YouTube app for the first time. What is the first thing that's showing on that welcome screen? So it's YouTube saying, hey, based off of your previous behavior, Alejandra, you're probably going to want to watch this video. So what shows up on your YouTube home screen, whether it's on mobile or on your desktop, that's browse viewership. Suggested is what shows up after somebody's video and below somebody's video and after somebody's video. So say that in a different way. As soon when there's a video that's not yours is playing, there's suggested videos on the right hand side. There's suggested videos below when you're on the mobile. And there's videos that automatically populate after you finish the video that you were watching. That's suggested traffic. So for us, what we're trying to figure out, who's suggesting us? What video is suggesting us? So this traffic source, this goes based off of the channel itself. So I haven't really we're not looking at individual video that is getting pushed, but based off of the topic, we can pretty much guess. So you've bought your house, now what? 11 things to do after you close on your home. All right, so this video is obviously feeding the big one that's working right now, what to do after you've closed. Right? So this video is bringing in some traffic. Homestead exemption. My other video about homestead exemption is pushing this traffic, and that makes sense. Why? Well, because if this video is probably feeding the what to do after you're closed, because probably either they watched the homestead video or vice versa, they found out that one needed to happen. You close and the homestead exemption, or you watched the homestead exemption because you didn't know what it was, and then you got suggested a video. In this particular case, this is exactly what happened. That tells you about everything that you need to do after you've closed. What to do after closing. So another one that's pushing traffic over our way. Homestead exemption. So that one probably either pushed it into the one of our homestead exemption videos. So this gives you an idea of what is pushing your content, if it's making sense. So the truth about home inspection reports, what they leave out. This video, I have not made anything that talks about this video. So this video is probably talking about the what to do after closing. So what I could do is make a video that talks about home inspections of some kind. Does this make sense? Any feedback on the suggested topic? Yeah,
Very,
interesting.
very insightful. Very insightful. My suggested video sources are all around wheels, estates, succession planning. Uh, those kind of videos somehow have gotten the traction there, you know.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see some flyers that you're gonna have nothing to do with. They're gonna not help in any way. You're gonna see that. Now, here's you know that dead video that we just saw from Denton. Here's how you find those without having to go and click on each one of them. So it's gonna really help you and see what videos worked well at some point in time and go and try to either resurrect or amplify the videos that are working right now. So you're going to go back to your analytics, just the normal homepage here of your analytics. You're going to stay on the views. You're going to click see more. Now, the important filter here is probably going to include shorts. Yeah, it includes shorts here. So you're going to want to go here to the left-hand side and you're going to do, let's see if I remember exactly, content type, videos. You only want to use videos. You don't care about shorts. You don't care about, excuse me, you don't care about live streams. It is very evident who's buttering my bread right now. And that is what to do after you close on a home. Very evident. Now let's go back 90 days. It is very evident. 23% of my views are coming from there. And as far as watch time for the entire channel, 46%. So I wasn't too, well, I guess I was far off. I had guesstimated 30%. It's almost 50%, which is insane. So if I'm looking for direction of my channel, if I see that the channel has stalled in this particular channel, I would argue that that has happened, not by design, but because of not putting content in. If I wanted to resurrect my channel right away, right now, today, I would make it all about this type of content right now. Do not close on your home until you do this. And I would hit that till it fell off. It's 50% of my traffic right now. Now, the downside, just be strategic here. Now, the downside, if I go after that target market right there, they're already under contract. There's not, it would just be vanity for me, right? So it's like this was more of a longer play for listing. So homestead exemption. Um, this is more for the longer tail of it. Because again, by the time they watch this video, and the team manages my comments, so I have not responded to any comments here if there are any. So you just closed on your home. I would not, it would not surprise me if there's comments about, hey, I'm about to close. Okay, this could have been a client. Um, I close on I close. Okay, so yeah, this person's already under contract. I close next. So yeah, again, it's like people that are already in contract, so you might as well be dead to me. So if I triple down on this, it would be more of a longer play. It would not be much about getting a ton of clients. But this is again, you need to be strategic with your analytics as opposed to just chasing views. So again, if I just wanted view after view after view after view and just resurrect this channel, I would hit this. But it's not just about the views, it's about getting people to call. All right, questions, comments, concerns. This was our feedback. Oh, this was our session for today. So let's open up to some Q&A. What are y'all working on?
So, quick question with that last video that you were saying, and this that video pretty much is gonna be for the whole United States. And correct me if I'm wrong. I personally like to be like hyper local. I
Hmm.
think mostly of my content is hyper local. I don't even go to just Florida per se.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing or that's a good thing? What's your 2 cents on that?
It's not a bad thing, but understanding the race that you're running in. So sometimes it's okay to get some traction by going a little bit beyond your b- community, if you will. So if you're talking about things that apply to the state or to the country, it's okay to go a little bit broad, but not with all of your content.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
this will open up the aperture and by YouTube. YouTube's gotten so sophisticated that it will reach to the people that are, I'm not gonna say it's only that are local to you, but if it makes sense for somebody that's already in market, essentially that they're looking for a home, your video, if it's not too like extremely hyper local, it'll be served to the right audience.
So you're telling me to kind of open it up a little bit?
Every 1 out of 5 videos,
Yeah,
one
okay.
out of five videos,
I'm
don't.
gonna give it a try then.
Yeah, 1 out of 5 videos. Because also keep in mind that yeah, we're trying to speak to people that are right in your backyard. That's how you make YouTube local. But also we have to understand that even if somebody subscribes to our channel, they're making a transaction every 9 years. They're not going to continue watching our content beyond that. So we're essentially having to replenish our views pretty consistently because people, when somebody's looking for a car, they're researching everything about Honda CRVs for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They go and purchase, and then they're never going to watch that again. So we have a lot of dead subscribers here that are not going to continue watching our content. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
So how do we, not that I need to right now. Right now, I'm just focusing on getting my baseline done, which is workflow type of videos done, uh, areas, and then I want to tackle my neighborhoods. Then maybe go into the generic side that could bring viewership to my channel. But obviously, we can't see this on competition. But if I wanted to see 5 local guys, in my market that are really good, I guess only their views could be the content that I could say as a good content to compete with.
Does your MLS allow you to see volume?
Yeah,
That would be a good indicator of how good their content is.
got it, got it. Yeah, yeah. I can pick some agents and see their production. Some of them are a big team, so unfortunately, they have 30, 40 agents, and it's all recorded under one name, and so it won't be. But if I'm competing against another solo agent, I could almost look at their stats and see if they're making any contents, and they are, what type, and try and see. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
For the big for the big teams, yes, they all reflect the team leads and stuff, so it could be easily masked how successful they are. What you could also do is go to their Google reviews or their Zillow reviews and see how many times their YouTube content gets brought up or the team's name gets brought up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, those bigger teams, they are billboards, they are the boss signs,
Yeah.
entire boss wrapped around. They are flyers, they are campaigning Easter egg hunt, they are campaigning the bigger things. Um, so I don't see them doing any YouTube other than just promoting their own listing. But there are certain individual agents that are doing great on YouTube side of things. So I could look at their volume and see what kind of content is, producing anything there.
Yeah.
Thank
Now
you.
that no, I know that this is it doesn't fit everybody's situation, but picking up the phone and calling them is not a bad play either. Asking how has YouTube been? Um, worst they say it's going to be no. Like no, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. But some people are pretty collaborative. A lot of people are pretty collaborative.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If somebody reaches out and, there are 6,000 turnovers a year in the cities that I serve, what's so big deal about having that conversation? They should be open to it. But what I've noticed is some people that I had initially modeled around how great they were in their YouTube channels, they haven't really posted anything in the last 3, 5 months.
Hmm.
So that kind of tells me they're it's probably not doing them success or they're just enough. I don't know, but that will be a good conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, Blossom. Well, I appreciate y'all coming through today. Next week we are out again. Sorry about that. We had some programming and then I totally forgot about my engagement. So, with that being said, hopefully I'll see y'all the week after, the first week of March, where we'll tackle another topic and keep working on this YouTube thing. Alrighty. Well, I appreciate y'all. Thanks so much for coming through, and I'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Bye.